In the small courtroom of Providence, Rhode Island, a quiet tension filled the air as the next case was called. The familiar face of Judge Frank Caprio, known for his kindness and compassion, sat at the bench, his warm expression inviting rather than intimidating. The bailiff announced the case number, and a man in his mid-40s stepped forward. His clothes were neat but worn, his eyes tired yet humble. His name was Michael Turner, a rideshare driver who had been cited for multiple traffic violations, speeding in a school zone, and running a red light, both caught on the city's traffic cameras. The clerk read the charges, and the screen flickered to life with footage from the camera. The video showed Michael's car speeding through a blinking yellow light that turned red just as he crossed the intersection. Then another clip showed him going 42 miles per hour in a 30-mile-per-hour school zone. Normally, these were straightforward cases. Pay the fine, promise to be careful, and move on. But when Judge Caprio looked at Michael, he sensed there was more behind this case than just a careless driver. Michael stood silently for a moment before the judge gently asked him to explain what had happened. His voice was calm, patient, the kind of voice that encouraged honesty rather than fear. Michael took a deep breath, his hands trembling slightly as he began to speak. "Your Honor," he said softly, "I know I broke the law, and I'm not here to make excuses. But that day, I wasn't thinking straight, I wasn't trying to be reckless, I was just trying to get somewhere in time." The courtroom was quiet except for his voice. "That morning, I got a call from the hospital. My mother, she's been battling late-stage cancer. They told me she didn't have much time left. I had been working all night driving for Uber to pay her medical bills, and I was exhausted. When I got that call, I panicked. I needed to get to her before it was too late." He paused for a moment, trying to keep his composure. Judge Caprio leaned forward, listening intently, his eyes softening. Michael continued, his voice cracking slightly. "The red light camera caught me on my way to the hospital. The school zone one, that was when I left the hospital a few hours later. She had passed away while I was parking my car. I missed her by just 5 minutes, Your Honor." The words hung in the air like a heavy cloud. A few people in the audience shifted uncomfortably, their eyes glistening with sympathy. Even the clerk lowered her gaze, quietly emotional. Michael's eyes filled with tears as he went on. "She was all I had. My father left when I was 10, and she raised me on her own. Worked 2 jobs, made sure I stayed out of trouble, pushed me to do something good with my life. I promised her I'd take care of her when she got older, but the medical bills just kept piling up. I sold my car, took loans, worked every shift I could get. I just wanted her to have a little comfort in her last days." He wiped his eyes, embarrassed but unable to stop. "When I saw those tickets in the mail, it broke me all over again. I thought, even now, I can't get anything right." Judge Caprio sat in silence for a few seconds, the room still and respectful. He finally spoke, his tone gentle. "Michael, I'm deeply sorry for your loss. No one should have to go through that kind of pain." Clearly distracted and emotional. "Still, the law is the law, and these cameras don't know what someone is going through." Michael nodded quietly. "I understand, Your Honor. I'm not asking for anything. I'll pay what I owe. I just wanted you to know why it happened." Judge Caprio took off his glasses and set them down. "You know," he said thoughtfully, "these cameras capture moments in people's lives, but they don't capture the story behind them. That's why I always ask. Because sometimes what looks like a simple violation is actually a glimpse into someone's struggle." He looked at Michael kindly. "How long were you taking care of your mother?" "Almost 3 years," Michael replied. "She was diagnosed with lung cancer in 2021. I moved back in with her after she started chemotherapy. I used to drive her to every appointment before I started driving for Uber. When she got too weak, I stayed home more. That's when the debts started. I just didn't have any other choice." Judge Caprio leaned back in his chair, his expression thoughtful. "You remind me of my own father," he said softly. "He used to say, 'Always take care of your mother. You'll never get another one.' And you did that, Michael. You kept your promise. Michael looked down, tears welling again. I tried, he whispered. After a long pause, Judge Caprio spoke. The fine for speeding in a school zone is $250, and the red light violation is another $100. But in this courtroom, we also try to find a little room for compassion. He turned to the clerk. I'm going to dismiss the red light ticket entirely. That was during a medical emergency and no harm came from it. As for the speeding ticket, I'll reduce it to $25. It's a symbolic fine, not for punishment, but to remind us that even when we're in pain, we still have to keep others safe on the road. Michael looked up in disbelief. Your Honor, thank you. I don't know what to say. Judge Caprio smiled softly. Just take care of yourself, and take a moment to remember your mother with love, not regret. She'd be proud of you. Michael nodded, his shoulders shaking slightly as he held back tears. She used to watch your show, actually, he said quietly. She always said you were one of the good ones. She'd tell me, if you ever end up in front of that judge, you'll be okay. The judge's expression melted into a gentle smile. Then I'll take that as the highest compliment I've ever received. The courtroom filled with a faint murmur of warmth and emotion. Even the usually stoic bailiff seemed moved. As Michael left, Judge Caprio called out softly, Michael, your mother raised a good man. Don't forget that. Michael stopped, nodded gratefully, and walked out of the courtroom, his head held just a little higher. After the hearing, as the next case began, the moment lingered. Judge Caprio often said that his courtroom was not just a place of law, it was a place of humanity. And that day, those words couldn't have been truer. Later, when the video of Michael's hearing was uploaded online, it spread across social media within hours. People from around the world commented on how deeply the story had touched them. Some shared their own losses, others praised the judge for his compassion, and many simply wrote, "We need more people like him." Michael, sitting in his small apartment later that night, saw the video too. He hesitated before clicking play. As he watched himself on screen, breaking down in front of the judge, he felt a wave of vulnerability, but also relief. The internet could be cruel, but the comments were filled with love and support. People offered prayers, donations, even job referrals. He realized that maybe, just maybe, his story could help others who were struggling silently. He made a promise to himself that day, to keep working hard, not just for his mother's memory, but for his own healing. In the end, what had begun as a painful moment became something beautiful. A story about loss turned into one about hope. A courtroom that should have been cold and procedural became a place of comfort and grace. And for a man named Michael Turner, who thought the world had forgotten him, one compassionate judge reminded him that humanity still existed, even in the most unexpected places. Judge Caprio, after adjourning court that day, sat quietly for a moment, reflecting. He thought about all the stories he'd heard over the years, the laughter, the tears, the heartbreak, and redemption. He knew that behind every ticket, every case, there was a person just trying to make it through life. And that was the real justice he believed in, not just enforcing the law, but understanding the people it affected. That day, S. hearing became one of the most watched and most heartfelt cases ever seen in his courtroom. A simple, powerful reminder that empathy can sometimes do more good than punishment ever could. Even years later, when people spoke about Judge Caprio's legacy, they often remembered Michael's story, the driver caught on camera who shared his heartbreaking truth, and the judge who chose to listen.